kids that they'll have no excuse why they can't be successful.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about that. And how many kids are you currently working with right now? Do you have any idea approximately how many kids you're working with at the moment?
Right now it's probably about 400 students.
Wow.
Because I have the 3 schools, and then I also have community cooking classes. I want to give a shout out to Miss Joe's daycare, Miss Josephine Seabury. She donated her daycare to me to allow me to have my cooking classes at her daycare. So right now I do have the cooking classes going on, and then I start dance classes on November the 4th.
And this story is, I remember reading that article in the News Observer. This story actually took a very personal appeal to you, because you had like some of your own history when you were used to this, in terms of like finding some of your relatives and getting to know them and things of that nature. So if you'd share a little bit of that story with our audience as well, I'm sure that a lot of folks will like to know a little bit more personal as to why this means so much to you.
Okay, so it means a lot to me because, you know, I want people to know that underprivileged doesn't always mean money. You could be considered underprivileged if a parent is missing from the home, if a grandmother is missing. You know, there's different definitions of underprivileged. I happen to be underprivileged because my father was arrested the same year that I was born. So I was born in 82. He was locked up in 82. And when he got out of prison, I was 15 years old. So I grew up pretty much half of my life without my father. And, I go so strong and so hard at what I do, just to be an example to other kids and, or juniors or some adults. I have adults that's following me that that admire my work as well. But I just want to be an example to people in general that it doesn't matter, like, what your background is. It doesn't matter, how many, if both of your parents was there, or if you had an aunt that took care of you, or a godmother or a grandmother. The only thing that matters is what's in your mind, what's in your heart, and what God allows you to do while you're here on this earth. My mother, did the best that she could to raise me, but I was blessed to be the first grandchild, so I did have the support of my grandmother, grandfather, my aunt, and my uncle. So that alone, allowed me to see that it takes a village to raise kids. So it doesn't matter if, you're a single mother and you just have your child, ask for help from your neighbor, ask for help from your neighbor, or the school, or, other resources that's in your community. And people are so prideful that they'll go without. And it's not that you're going out, going without, it's the kid that's going without because the parents have so much pride and, feel ashamed or feel embarrassed when they have to ask for help or ask for, resources or support. I know I can only speak for myself, but I know I am here and I am available to help kids in different walks of life. I do have bilingual staff as well. So if you have a child that speaks Spanish only, we work with Spanish children as well, because it really does take a village to raise these kids. It's not really one or two people's responsibility to make a difference. It's all our responsibility to make a difference. And, some people fail to, know their role in life, and they don't really want to be a role model. But when you take on a certain title, when you take on a certain responsibility in the world, you're just put in a place where you are a role model, and you have to be the best role model that you can be, because I have people that look up to me and children that look up to me that I don't even know. I have children that look up to me that don't even look up to their parents or respect their parents. And I'm not, proud of that, because I really want, kids when a person say, well, who do you look up to, or who do who's your hero, that they can say their mom or they can say their dad. Sometimes our kids, want to name LeBron James and Dwayne Wade, as their heroes. But these are people that they'll probably never meet. These are people that's on TV. Well, we have heroes walking around the city. We all could be a hero if we change our mindset and want to do something to make a difference. And not only did I grow up in an underprivileged neighborhood, I worked 3 years for the Wake County Sheriff's Department, and I saw how young our kids were getting arrested, and they're not getting arrested for stealing candy. They are getting arrested for killing people. They are getting arrested for, stealing cars and robbing stores and robbing banks. Anything they can think of, they are doing it, and it's all based off of survival. These kids are trying to survive. These are not bad children. They come from, terrible environments, and due to their environment, they go by what they see. And if that's all that they see, then that's all they know. So I have a problem with people that sit back and complain about what our youth is doing and, this youth did this and that youth did that, but they're not sitting at the same table or talking to these same people to try to come up with solutions, which is another program that I've started that is for felons. I started a felony program called Solutions, where I will hire felons from the age of 16 to 21, and I will give them jobs. That way, it's just another route for them to have that second chance.
Yeah, it's always good when these folks can get a second chance. Too often we don't give our kids that have gone through rough times second chances and things of that nature. What do you think? I know here in Durham there's always seems to be a rise in the amount of young kids that are getting involved in the gangs and things of that nature, even the drug culture, and I'm sure that's even the case in Raleigh as well. What do you think some of the reasoning for that is, and what do you think some of the solutions are that the community at large can do to try to stem some of that?
Well, I think, coming from those areas myself, for one, I want to point this out. You should never point fingers or have anything negative to say about a child coming from a certain environment or a certain family if you've never walked that life, because it's so quick for people to judge a situation based on what they see on the outside when they have no idea what that child is going through, no idea who that child has to feed that lives in that household. So I would say, some of the reasons why kids are out here doing what they're doing is because of survival. Once again, it's easier to go out here, not saying that I, condone the behavior, but it's easier to go out here and rob someone or steal from a store, than it is to fill out an application and wait 2, 3 days or sometimes weeks for people to call you back for a job when you have siblings that you have to feed, when you have a mother that you haven't seen in 2-3 days because she's out getting high. Sometimes you can't leave home. If you leave home to go work and your mother's not there, who's going to take care of your siblings? So I feel like it's a lack of knowledge, for one. You have to educate yourself on what these kids are going through. Educate yourself on these communities before you try to put the blame on anyone, because sometimes the mothers are messed up because their mother was messed up, and it's all a generational curse. So I would say that they join these gangs and stuff for survival. They join these gangs for protection, and a lot of times, a lot of these kids have a low self-esteem. So, if you have a mother that's never there, or a mother that's always, talking down to you or belittling you or tell you you're going to be like your mama or you're just going to be like your daddy, that affects kids' self-esteem. Where you can have strangers out here on the street, and even though they wearing a certain color and they holding guns, they show you love, and they make sure you eat, and they make sure your little sister eat. And sometimes, if the situation is bad enough, they'll call you and say, hey, your mama is down there on such and such street. You need to go get her and get her in the house. So even though some people see gangs as bad and, it's violent and everything, everyone that makes up that group is not bad. And you still have people in there that, has a heart and that has feelings. So, that's one of the things that I do want to stress before people be, quick to judge, to find out about the kid, find out why he's doing what he needs to do. And, I think one of the things that could help, kind of cut down some of the gang, young kids joining the gang, is to have more companies like mine that's not trying to charge an arm and a leg to teach children. Like, I run a nonprofit, and people tell me all the time, like, how your first business was a nonprofit? I said, because my payment comes from the Lord. and I know what my purpose is. I can't be out here, charging an arm and a leg for a kid to take a dance class and his mother can't afford it. He could have been the next top shelf. So I'm thinking if we have more nonprofits or organizations that's willing to give to nonprofits, these companies that's for-profit, support your nonprofits, because we are out here running these companies based off of volunteers and based off of donations. When I first started my nonprofit, I worked 3 jobs. One of my paychecks went straight to my nonprofit because that's how much I believe in what I do. And, people tell me all the time, it's your vision. People are not going to support your vision, like you support your vision, and I understand that. So you may not support my vision, but if you want to see a change in the community, if you want to see a change in the next generation, you have to get involved. Like, there is no way around it. And people talk to me all the time about politics and, vote for this person because they care about the community and they care about this. And I have to ask them, do you care about the community? Because I'm not going to wait to see who the next mayor is going to be before I start a cooking class. I'm not going to wait to see who the next president is going to be before I start tutoring these kids. They need our help now. And there's nothing that a person from the outside can come and do that we can't do for our own community. And I am a firm believer in that because I do it every day.
That's very true. I was wondering if you've had any luck in terms of, reaching out to the corporate world, because I know that sometimes both in the RTP and Raleigh and in Durham that there's a lot of times corporations will give lip service to the fact that they want to go into the community, but I know sometimes when the organizations approach them, they don't necessarily deliver as much as they say they were going to deliver. So I was wondering if you've had any luck in terms of reaching out to some of the big corporations that we have here in the Triangle and trying to get them to help you do some of the work that you're doing in the community.
No, it is exactly what you said. They say a lot. They speak, big when they're in front of the right people, when the camera's in their face, and when the microphone is attached to their shirt. Because when you call and you contact them, it's always, contact corporate, contact corporate. I have sent emails. I have sent letters. I have made phone calls. You would drive yourself crazy waiting for a call back, waiting for a letter back, waiting for them to answer the phone. And while you're sitting around waiting, you have more and more kids out here killing or being killed. So I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So, it's always an option. But like I said, I'd rather be out here, moving my feet and getting things done because I'm the type of person that I'm going to work until they recognize me. I'm not going to meet with nobody. I'm going to work so hard that they're going to have to say, who is that young lady and I need to meet her. Right. I'm not going to chase money. I run my nonprofit myself. I haven't had the assistance from government, grants, or nothing. Everything that I do is from, me getting donations or, like last year I purchased it was this year, I purchased a heat press machine. So I make my own T-shirts. All the T-shirts and stuff that I sell, the money from the sales go back into my nonprofit. So I feel like if you have the mindset and you are a hustler, you can hustle anything. It's a difference in a hustler and a drug dealer. I am a hustler. I don't sell drugs. I ain't never sold drugs. But I was around a whole lot of drug dealers. So I think that's how I learned how to move. That's how I learned how to protect my business. And that's how I learned how to run my business. So even though some people may look at it and be like, oh, she grew up in the hood, she did this, she did that, she's probably not going to be this, she's probably not going to be that, I can honestly say they are a lie. And I am thankful for the situation that I was raised in, and I'm also thankful for all the drug dealers that was around me that protected me because there was a lot of violence that took place, and they always made sure I made it in the house safe. It could be a lot of kids out there, but it was something special about me that they always made sure I was good. So I appreciate, all the support that I had back then, and I appreciate all the support that I have now. I can always sit and say, I wish I had more support, but I know it's coming because I know the more I work that, they're not going to be able to deny me because at some point they're going to be asked, why are you not helping this nonprofit that's doing such and such and such versus me constantly calling them and waiting for emails and sitting up at the office, all day to get a response that's never going to come or that's going to come when they're ready. Because one thing I do know from starting my nonprofit